The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN Summit 2025 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, marked a significant moment for U.S. engagement in the Indo-Pacific, particularly with the attendance of U.S. President Donald Trump. His visit underscored a shift towards a more transactional and bilateral U.S. foreign policy in the region, prioritizing trade deals, critical minerals access, and projecting an image of a global dealmaker. The central event was the signing of a major trade agreement with Malaysia and the brokering of a peace accord between Thailand and Cambodia. Summary and analysis. The visit was a decisive move by the U.S. to reassert its commitment to the Indo-Pacific, focusing on economic and security interests. It was President Trump's first attendance since 2017 and his first Asia trip of his second term. The approach was highly bilateralized, with the core outcomes being specific agreements with individual nations rather than broad multilateral declarations. The U.S.-Malaysia Agreement on Reciprocal Trade is the centerpiece, designed to enhance market access for U.S. industrial and agricultural goods in Malaysia while securing a stable supply of critical minerals and rare earths. In return, the U.S. committed to maintaining a reciprocal 19% tariff on most Malaysian goods. Additionally, Trump oversaw the signing of the Kuala Lumpur peace accords between Thailand and Cambodia, positioning himself as a global mediator. Overall, the analysis suggests the visit was aimed at boosting U.S. visibility and showcasing Trump's deal-making capabilities amidst domestic and international trade tensions, particularly with China. Reasons and consequences. Reasons for the U.S. approach: economic reciprocity and critical supply chains. The main driver was securing reciprocal trade terms and resilient supply chains. The deal with Malaysia ensures U.S. access to its critical minerals and rare earths, a strategic imperative given current dependence on China for these materials. Geopolitical competition. The U.S. seeks to counter China's growing economic and military influence in Southeast Asia. Strengthening bilateral economic ties with key ASEAN nations is a method of offering an alternative to Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative and maintaining a regional presence. Global dealmaker image. For President Trump, the visit provided a platform to reinforce his personal brand as an effective negotiator and peacemaker, highlighted by the Thailand-Cambodia peace agreement and the successful trade deal. Consequences. Erosion of ASEAN centrality. The focus on bilateral agreements, US-Malaysia, US-Vietnam framework, over a unified ASEAN-wide strategy puts pressure on the bloc's principle of centrality and collective negotiation. ASEAN members are increasingly incentivized to prioritize their own national interests in bilateral deals. Economic shifts and reshoring. The trade deal is expected to increase U.S. exports to Malaysia and deepen cooperation in technology and defense. The secured access to critical minerals could accelerate U.S. efforts to de-risk its supply chains away from China. Straining neutrality. The increased U.S. economic pressure and presence challenge ASEAN's tradition of non-alignment, as nations like Malaysia try to balance deep economic interdependence with both the U.S. and China. Prediction and solutions. Prediction: U.S.-China relations. Post-ASEAN. The immediate aftermath points towards a potential, albeit tenuous, de-escalation in the U.S.-China trade war. Both sides expressed optimism about reaching a comprehensive deal during the subsequent Trump-Xi meeting in South Korea. However, the underlying strategic competition remains. The U.S. focus on Taiwan and Hong Kong as discussion points, and its success in securing critical minerals access in Malaysia, indicate that the technology and security dimensions of the rivalry will persist, even if a temporary trade truce is reached. Prediction. U.S.-China relations will likely enter a phase of managed competition, where economic tariffs might be reduced or stabilized, but strategic friction over technology, rare earths, and regional security will intensify. Southeast Asia will become an even more crucial battleground for economic influence. Solutions for ASEAN nations. Strengthen ASEAN cohesion. ASEAN must reinforce its collective bargaining position to avoid being divided by great power competition. This means accelerating internal economic integration and presenting a unified stance on trade and security issues. Strategic diversification. Member states should actively diversify their economic partners beyond the US and China, strengthening ties with regional players like Japan, India, South Korea, and the EU. This strategy enhances resilience and preserves neutrality. Proactive supply chain management. ASEAN nations should leverage their role in global supply chains, e.g., semiconductors, critical minerals, to attract balanced, high-quality foreign investment and technology transfer from multiple sources, ensuring mutual benefit and long-term economic security.